This is going to be a quick tutorial where I explain how to use Feedo and all of the features that we can actually tap into once it's installed in our workspace. So in this case, this is Slim's workspace, and this is the production version of Feedo. So Feedo has just been installed into the workspace, and we now have access to see this small about page where it tells us a bit about how it works. And the first thing that it tells us is how it can work with multiple teams, right? So once Feedo is installed in your company itself, you can actually have it run in multiple separate teams. You can have it for your front-end team, your back-end team, and any other team that you may have. And the thing is that the permissions to be able to access to the different information, feedback, action items, etc. for each of the teams will only be available for those specific team members. So nobody else from outside the team will be able to tap into that information. So let's go ahead and start by creating a new channel for a new team. So let's say that I'm a member of the front-end channel. I can create a front-end channel, and I'm a member of it. And so I decided to invite Feedo. This is the way that we actually get Feedo to be able to listen to the events happening in this channel and to know whose members should be allowed to see that feedback and who aren't. So now we can come back to Feedo. And as we can see, this page gets refreshed, and we can now see a selected team where we can see the teams that we belong to and Feedo belongs to, but only the ones that we belong to. We could add Feedo to other teams, and if I was not a member of that team, I wouldn't be able to see them. In this case, I see front end, so I'm going to jump in. And now, since there's no sprints left, we haven't started, we can create our first sprint. I'm going to give the sprints just the length of 1 week. So it's going to start today, Monday, and it's going to end on this Friday, 24th. Initially, we don't have anything else to set up, so we're just going to start a new sprint. And now that we have our first sprint, the way that Feedo is basically is meant to be used is anybody in the front-end channel right now, any of the members, could come to Feedo and they would see this exact same view. What this allows us is to, throughout the sprint, I'm going to be able to say, add feedback. I want to give some recognition because, you know, John today gave a really good demo of the product, and I feel like we all learned a lot. Thank you, John. We can even put a little emoji. Strong John. Great. We're going to submit that. And anybody in the team has now the power to do something like this. So I can go ahead and add another recognition, be like, Mike did great today at the lunch. I can't spell and learn. Awesome content. So we can submit this. I can also, and this one with mine, I can delete some of the feedback that I've given. So, you know, if at some point I decide like I don't want to give it anymore, I can simply delete it, and just like that, it's gone. And the same way that we're giving some recognition, we can also say that some things need to improve. So, for example, our current 3 Amigo sessions happen. Let's just say that they don't happen too often. We should have more. And I can submit some to improve. It's something that I feel like it would make the team better if we actually did that. Or there's this thing that we're not doing enough, or there's this thing that we're doing and shouldn't, etc. So I can go ahead and add as many feedbacks as I want, right? Now at the end of the sprint, as you can see, I'm only seeing my own feedback, and there might be other members also sending feedback, right? The way that this is going to work is when the sprint ends on that date, another button is going to appear here. In this section of actions, this is going to say see all feedback, right? And this is basically going to allow us to, when we press it, see the feedback of every single member of the team. This is anonymous. Nobody will know who sent what feedback. Then it's up to them on the meeting to actually speak up and say more about what they meant. But it's the way that we will be able to see all of the feedback. In this case, we're not there yet. We're not at the date of the end of sprint yet. And there's no other members right now submitting feedback, so this would be all of the feedback. And what we would do is on a retro meeting, we'll probably just go over the positive ones, go over the recognition, and, you know, if there's anything to do about it, great. If not, we'll just give each other a pat in the back for a job well done. And afterwards, we'll go into the to improve, and normally we would go over each item, and for each of them, we'll see if there's anything that we can action on. If this thing that we need to improve can actually, there's an action that we can take to improve it, and if there is, we can create a new action item and say, okay, let's try to have at least 1 session of 3 Amigos every other week. and I can submit that. So now a new section will appear. Boom. There will be the new action items for next sprint. So these are actions that, based on the things that we want to improve, we set out to do in the next sprint to improve the way that we're working together. Let's say that we want to do another good thing for the team. So these are the things that we want to set out. We're setting out to do for the next sprint, which means that when we finish this retro session, we can start a new sprint. We can set the new dates, let's say from next Monday to next Thursday. And now we can see review sprint action items. The following are the new action points you've created to accomplish during this upcoming sprint. And we can actually see what we're setting out to the next sprint. Yep, sounds good to me. Let's start the next sprint. And now we got a message. So if we go to channels, we can see that Feedo has actually recopilated what happened in this meeting and the things that we set out to do. So anybody that is in that channel, even if they weren't present in the meeting, can actually see what happened in that meeting, the things that we set out to do for the next sprint. Not only that, but they can always come to Feedo if they're a part of the team. Now we're in the new sprint, but they can always come back and say, hey, what happened here? Let's go and see what happened. And they can actually see all of the feedback. They will be able to press that button that's not here right now to see all of the feedback, not only theirs, and they will also, again, be able to see the new action items. But in this case, we've come to the new sprint. And in this new sprint, the first thing that we see is that now we have a past action item section from last sprint with tick boxes. So in this case, we can actually keep track of the things that we did accomplish. So let's say that we go over another sprint and we add some positive stuff, and we add also, some some negative stuff. Yep. So let's say the sprint ended, we come back to our retro meeting. The first thing we do before we go into feedback is we can start by looking at the past action items and say, hey guys, okay, before we start talking about the things that have happened this sprint, we set out to do these things last sprint. Have we actually accomplished them? And we can say, okay, we did accomplish this one, however, we did not accomplish this one. And we can make the decision of, first of all, say, okay, this is a new action item for the next sprint because we do want to still try to do this. Or maybe it's not that necessary anymore, or things have improved or anything else, right? After that, we can then go over the feedback, go over the positive one, go over the next negative one, start creating new action items. So something to do, which will be an action item for the next sprint, and then something to do numero dos, and we can submit that as well. Which means that now we finished another retro sprint, another successful sprint, start a new sprint. In this case, it would be May by now, so we can do like a 4th of May to an 8th of May, for example. Once again, we get to see the things we're setting out to do next sprint, and when we start in a sprint, we get another message. We get another message recopilating what happened, and when we come back, we're on the new sprint the same way. And the best thing as well is that now we have a centralized and unique source of information for everything. We have a unique source of truth for everything that has happened in every sprint since the beginning. We can look back, see how the feedback went, see how we did, see the things that we set out to do, but also be able to see, the things that we actually accomplished out of the ones we set out to do. We set out to do these things in the previous sprint. We only did one. We set out to do these things. This was the positive stuff. This was the negative stuff. We have a good way to keep track of everything that we're doing, which is not only very helpful and convenient, but also keeps the team accountable and will allow us to always look back and learn from how we've behaved in each sprint and how we're actually improving or not and why. Which is again a great tool to be able to analyze how we are doing as a team. The same way we have a system like Jira to see how we're doing in terms of work. Yeah, I think it's necessary to start having more tools to see how we're doing as a team. And this, I think, would be a great beginning for it. So that's sort of the main functionality for it. As I said, this works for multiple sprints. It works for multiple channels if there was multiple ones. You would only get to see the ones, the channels that you are a member in. So everything's private in that way. And once again, the feedback itself is private in that way. Obviously, if anything, if anything really bad was to happen or anyone makes a really bad comment or anything like that, it is possible to track who sends what. But in general, for the users using the app itself, they won't be able to see who sent what. So you have also that privacy to be able to submit things, and then when we decide to see all, we can go over everything, right? In the same way, you are not able to see all of the feedback until the sprint has ended. So nobody gets actually conditioned by seeing the feedback as the sprint is going. But it's a great way to actually keep track of specific things, which are much more like they're much easier to actually take action on if I tell you something very specific than if I just tell you, there's this big problem, but it's too generic. It's not easy to act on that. However, on specific things, it's much easier. So yeah, this is sort of the concept. This is how it's meant to work. I think it could be a great opportunity for us as a team to improve our processes and improve the way we do things. And I hope that everyone finds it useful. I think that some of us have been probably doing some version of this on our own in a very rudimentary format, and I think this brings everything together in a very neat way where we can keep track of feedback, action items, look back, learn, improve, and everything, as I say, from the comfort of Slack. Like in the same, you're going to spend most of your time here, so you might as well actually start handling things from here as well. And the good thing is that in the end, it might be a bot, but I don't like to call it a bot. It's more of an app, because it's not just a messages thing that you send a message to and that's it. It's more of this home tab where you can actually perform actions, and it feels like an app. And yeah, that's mainly it. I hope you guys like it. I hope you find it useful, and yeah, I hope it actually does have an impact on our teams, and we start seeing value out of it. So thank you very much for listening and watching, and yeah, I hope to see you soon in the next retro. Thank you guys. Bye bye.